Good morning and bright suns, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good night's rest. I want to first of all just thank everybody who is joining me right now this morning in the live chat. Thank you so much for participating in that. If you're watching later on, thank you for that. If you're just commenting again, thanks for that. That means that you are watching this, and I'm hoping that you are at home watching this, or even listening to this in the background of wherever you are. That is the point of we're doing three shows a day. Some of them we're just grabbing some older content, but there's the live chat so we can talk along with it and have a good time and all be together. We're in, this unprecedented time together, and the only way to get out of this and to break through what we're going through now is basically staying in and keeping healthy, keeping safe, and keeping us and our loved ones, and especially the elderly and those with immune system issues safe and healthy. And that's what we've got to do. And our part in this, and our only part in this, for the average folk like myself, is to stay in, go out as little as possible, and that's it. It's not hard. It's actually quite simple. You just have to stay in. And do you get stir crazy? Sure, but you find things to do. Me, I'm doing these videos. I'm editing my book Capes I Bay. I'm editing a short film, and I'm running another short film that I'm probably going to shoot with Aaron, because I'm lucky enough to live with my wife. Some people are, I don't know if anybody's alone right now, but I think most people are isolated with other people. Find stuff to do. There's board games, there's this or that. We're trying to bring you entertainment here, Star Wars related. We don't want to harp on the issues at hand, because that's not what we are. We're not a hard-hitting news source. We're a Star Wars podcast YouTube channel. Episode 163 drops tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Is it 163 or 164? Whatever it is, it drops tonight. Should be a lot of fun. Going to be a great time there. Really looking forward to that. And this is Bright Suns. And if you are at home and you're not sure what to do, and maybe you have an idea of a Star Wars story in your mind, in your noggin, that you need to let loose, we have someone here with some tips, with some thoughts. Here's our good friend, Patreon's own Rachel, Edge of Hope. If you know Edge of Hope, you know Rachel. She's been on the show many a time. Here she is with her day-to-day activities and how she is coping with isolation.
Hi, Rebel Scum. It's Reaper Girl 27 from Twitter. We're all kind of in our own varying forms of isolation right now, thanks to COVID-19 taking over the planet. So, what's a fangirl or a fanboy to do when they're trapped in their house without any access to the outside world or toilet paper? Well, you could do something like I do. I've been working on a book, which I don't know if this is going to show up. There we go. It's called Edge of Hope. Right now, I'm novelizing it. It's on Wattpad. You can find me there as, I think they've got my name as Reaper Girl 35, which I'm not going to be 35 for very much longer. But it's a rewrite that I did of episode 9. It was just something that I kind of got into to make myself feel better. Shout out to Misconduct for giving me the push in the right direction to get it going. It's really kind of changed my outlook on a lot of things, and it's really kind of brought this message of hope to a lot of my Star Wars family on Twitter, which I'm really glad about. Like, that's one of the biggest compliments you guys could give me, was that it's helped you through what you've experienced by watching episode 9. A lot of us were just kind of left floating around, wondering, what's next? Is this really the end? So, Edge of Hope is on Twitter as a Twitter thread. If you would like to take a look at it, just just shoot me a DM or just tweet at me. I'd be more than happy to shoot it over to you. I really hope you enjoy it. But that's not all that I do to kind of keep myself occupied and not go stir crazy. There are tons of really awesome options that, you can actually access. We've got streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Prime. You've got all of these amazing shows that were written by incredibly creative people like Dave Filoni. Cannot say enough good things about Dave Filoni and his creation of Rebels. He really kind of takes care of Ahsoka, from what I'm told from quite a few friends that have really caught up on their Rebels watching. Unlike myself, I've kind of falling behind, but I'm gonna catch up. I promise. I will catch up. But in the meantime, I kind of go for the tried and true options. If you're a Kevin Smith fan, like I am, you could always spend an evening in with Kevin. There's more than enough on those. Definitely get this one. The 3 evening is where it's at. Or, like any decent Star Wars fan, you could watch Solo. Hashtag make Solo 2 a thing. Fanboys. Every Star Wars fan should have fanboys. This is an amazing film. And you should really, really check out all of the cast on Twitter. Dan Fogler especially. Or you could just go with the tried and true option. Or if you're a fan of some of the characters from a particular show that came to the U.S., Being Human. Shout out to Sam Whitwer. Thank you for the like, sir. I really appreciate it. Or there are tons of other options to keep yourself occupied. You could play games. You could read a book. There's so many amazing authors out there, like this lady. Or if you're like Ryan Johnson, you prefer something a little more classic. He has the audiobook downloaded that is narrated by Sir Ian McKellen. So if you can't kind of stomach reading classic literature because it's a little too dry or you can't get the pacing down right, totally go download the audiobook. It's worth the money. Or you could always go with something if you're feeling ouch. If you're feeling romantic, you could always go with The Princess Bride. Classic. Or if you are into historical literature, I highly recommend Dan Jones. He is an amazing author. He actually makes history interesting and easy to digest. He actually tells a story to you instead of giving you just dry bits of information. He connects you to the characters or to the actual history behind the people in his stories. Amazing author. He's on Twitter. Go check him out. He also does a lot of documentaries for, I think it's for the BBC or it's Sky One, but they're on YouTube. All you have to do is just Google or just check Dan Jones, but really look because there is another Dan Jones and that is not something you want to click on. I made that mistake. Or shout out to superheroologist Travis Langley. One of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. I got it when I met him at New York Comic Con, and he was kind enough to autograph it for me. Welcome to Arkham Asylum. I'm a proud inmate. But there are also other things that you can do. Hobbies that you might want to catch up on. Like knitting. Knitting is really relaxing. It's actually an amazing way to unwind, and you get to make cool headgear. But everybody's going to be different. If you feel like you're kind of going blue or getting depressed or you need human connection, you can always find the members of your Star Wars family on Twitter. And you have to come and visit us and check out all the amazing content that James and Brock and Andrew and Aaron are putting together at Rebel Scum Podcast. Go to their Patreon and become Rebel Scum, like me. Hope to see you guys in the chats. Hope to see you on Twitter. And may the Force be with you, because this will and it will cease and everything will get back to normal eventually. Everything has its moment, and right now we just have to kind of band together, hold on to each other, hold on to hope, and, when worst comes to worst, you just have to find your own way to bring a little bit of light and a little bit of hope into the world. And Edge of Hope was mine. It helped me get over a lot of things. It helped me see a lot of things, and it's brought me closer to so many amazing people that are so creative and that really care about these characters and about the world. So if you get a chance, definitely go check out some of the people that you could actually meet on Twitter that are going to be so supportive of your endeavors. Post some art, post a blog, post a Twitter thread that's 800 tweets long. It could really help you find where you belong, or where you've always belonged and just were kind of scared to take your step right outside the door. But as they say, the show must go on. So, James, Brock, Andrew, take it home, and I'll see you guys in the next chat.
Another thing that we're trying to do here, that we like to do, is, people want to watch movies, and not all the time do you want to watch Star Wars. I know Rural Farm Boy yesterday on yesterday's chat mentioned he's watching season 2 of Lost in Space. I like season 1 of Lost in Space. I am looking forward to getting into season 2, but people are looking forward to things to watch, and it can't always be Star Wars. I mean, it can. There's a lot out there, but maybe you want a little bit of break, but you feel like, oh, I really want something associated with Star Wars. And something that doesn't immediately pop into your brain. So right now we've got Andrew Fantasia coming in. He's going to, once a week, he's going to give a recommendation for a movie that is associated on some level with Star Wars. Whether it's an actor, a director, a writer, a producer, it could be whatever it is, but there's a connection to Star Wars within this movie, and it might not be the first one that pops into your head. So here's Andrew with his recommendation for this week.
Hello, scumbags. It's Andrew Fantasia here with another quick little isolation recommendation for you. You're stuck at home. You want to watch some movies or some television programs, maybe. But you're a Star Wars fan, so it'd be nice if they had some kind of little Star Wars connection. I don't know. Maybe you think that way, maybe you don't. But that's my job, to give you movies and TV shows with a Star Wars connection that you can spend your time enjoying. And I have a new recommendation for you. It's this right here. It's a little movie called Attack the Block. Make sure I get some glare-free imagery here. Sorry, my lighting is all wonky because it's so dark outside. Attack the Block came out, I want to say 2012, maybe. I think just shortly before the Avengers, the first Avengers. I think it was around then. And it is about a group of young-ish, like late teens, early 20s, street punk kids in London dealing with an alien invasion. And when you say the title, you have to say it in like an East End London, like tough accent, like Attack the Block, because that's how they all talk. And the Star Wars connection is right there. The main character of this movie is Mr. John Boyega. That's Finn. This is before he joined the Stormtrooper Corps. He was on the streets of London protecting them from evil aliens. Now, I don't want to give away too much here, but I will say this. I'm not a huge fan of alien movies because I find that they are all very generic and samey. I like the Sigourney Weaver Alien series, yes, but other ones, the random movies come out and they're like, ooh, this is about aliens. And you watch it and it's like, ugh, I've seen that movie 50 times before. This was different. Not only was it a unique story and a unique premise and a unique batch of characters pooling their resources together, but the aliens themselves were really unique too. This distinction for me is what sets Attack the Block apart from the rest, because the aliens in Attack the Block, folks, are the most unique aliens ever designed for a motion picture since the H.R. Giger, Sigourney Weaver alien film. That is something you can take to the bank. And it's funny, I used to keep this, not really diary, but more of a creative journal where whenever I would watch something, I would jot down notes and be like, ooh, I liked this about it, I didn't like that about it. How can I use what I learned from this to expand and grow my own storytelling skills? In the things that I'm writing, what can I learn from what I watched? That was the main priority, the reason I started that journal. And I'll never forget, in the journal entry for Attack the Block, I wrote down at the very bottom, when I was done all my main notes, I was like, boy, that guy who plays the main character was a really good actor. I hope he gets more work soon. Literally 2 years later, I find out he got cast as Finn in The Force Awakens. I guess I was right. Another fun thing about Attack the Block is once you are done watching it, you are going to spend like a good solid 2 weeks speaking in British slang. You're going to be like, look fam, we need to get off our streets, back in the block. Look out for each other, bruv. That's how we're all going to talk. That's the best part about Attack the Block. It gets under your skin in a really delightful way and stays there. You're going to want to punch an alien. You're going to want to watch a soccer game after and share a pint of beer with your friend, because that's what they do with their friends. It's good old-fashioned British cinema with excellent aliens and John Boyega. Who the hell doesn't like John Boyega? he's one of the most charming dudes working right now. I love the guy. So if Attack the Block is streaming somewhere that you have access to, park your little butt on that sofa cushion, grab a bowl of popcorn, and watch this film. You're going to have so much fun. I mean, look at this. Look at that. That's just a fun cover. And yeah, that there, at the end there, that's Nick Frost of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz fame doing his best Nick Frost impression. And it's certified fresh. That always means it's good. Attack the Block is my isolation recommendation for you today. I hope you all enjoy, scumbags. Until next time, may the force of others be with you, bruv. Now get back in the block.
Writing is a hobby that a lot of people can do while they are isolated, and reading is another hobby that people can do. And you know what? Audiobooks are another hobby that people can get into, but storytelling is very important. It's crucial to us as a community, as a society, as mankind, humankind, womankind, as all of us together is very, very crucial. And one of our friends on Rebel Scum podcast is Around the Galaxy with Pete, and Pete wrote a Star Wars fanfic, and the audio version of that will be dropping to the public on Saturday. I am a patron of Pete's, and so I may or may not have been able to get a glimpse of this early, as most Patreon do, but I had the chance in the summertime, I believe it was in June, to talk with Pete a little bit about his fanfic and just Star Wars in general. So here's a little bit of that Outlander Club right now on Bright Suns. This you hated The Last Jedi so much that you did a fan fiction. But you did do some fan fiction.
I did.
Let's go into that. How did that start?
So I'd always said that The Phantom Menace felt to me like the movie version of a good book that didn't quite get it right.
That's a great way
to
put it.
So I had mentioned before that I had done this story for the Star Wars Adventure Journal, and I happened to come across it a year and a half ago, and I was telling a friend of mine about it, and he's like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Let me see it." And so I shared it with him, and then I also I just for fun one afternoon I wrote the first chapter of what became my fan fiction story, and I sent it to him too, and he was like, "This is great. You got to finish this." And I don't think it was great, but it was good enough to inspire me. And so what I did was I wanted to expand upon the Phantom Menace story, because at the end of the day, as I was saying, interestingly, as I was saying at the beginning, that Phantom Menace should have been Qui-Gon's story. And I always kind of believed that Phantom Menace was Qui-Gon's story until I started taking it apart and realized it's actually Palpatine and Sidious's story. And so I wrote I basically used every piece of dialogue from the film. Most of the characters are in my version of it, but I've also added characters like Sifo Dyas, and reference other things that happen. I give what I believe is it's a non-canon backstory to Darth Maul, but a little bit more information there, and explore things like what was Palpatine doing on Coruscant while things were going bad on his planet, and what was he doing behind the scenes to set up all these things that, everything that happens in the Phantom Menace happens because of him, whether he's doing it as Sidious or he's doing it as Palpatine. So I really wanted to dig into what's happening there and what's going on with the Jedi, that they're who on the Jedi Council is ignoring all these very clear signs that something is going wrong, and so I just decided to write it. And what I thought would take me years is just some silly side project. I ended up writing 123,000 words in about 8 or 10 months, and finished it. And the thing that pisses me off most is I put all this effort into a story that I can never make any money off of. No. But what was cool about it was I worked with my friend who sort of edited it chunk by chunk, and he would ask questions, are you filling in a plot hole here, or is this, we talked more and more about the story. And then when I released it, I was like, where am I going to put this? Now that I've gotten this thing done, and it's nice that it's sitting on my laptop, but what do I do with it? So I got back into social media and just sort of put it out there. And that was where I started to rediscover all these great podcasts and all these interesting people in the fandom. So I know of one person who read the book. I know Kyle Larson from Star Wars Newsnet read it because he reviewed it on their site. So I feel good that one person read it and liked it, and that's ultimately what it's all about. But if nothing else, it got me back to being connected and finding these kind of fans that, frankly, when I was writing for Star Wars Galaxy and we wanted to do stories on them, we had to really dig to find this guy in Florida or this guy in upstate New York or whatever who had these unique fandoms, and it's led me back to having great conversations and doing my own podcast and joining people like you on your podcast and reigniting these conversations and rediscovering the Star Wars fandom. So the book was fun. It's available for free on my website, and of course it's free, but it's available in like Kindle or iBooks, whatever version you want to read. And it's sort of my love letter to the story, and frankly, it's made me look at the Phantom Menace a little differently. And now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, well, this is why that happened. Everybody else is like, that doesn't make any sense. But in my head canon has now become
It's your own personal
a book.
canon.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own canon, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Are you going to do Attack of the
Right.
Clones or Revenge of the Sith?
I've thought about it, but I don't think so. I think it's yeah, probably not, because one of the things I set up in the story that is sort of very subtle, and it might be worth sort of discovering, is I think one of the interesting fan theories is that something was happening between Obi-Wan and Padme, which I think
Yes.
was a very interesting concept, but I don't know if I feel like doing all the effort to explore it and write it. But yeah, I don't think so. But you never know. Yeah, I might wake up one afternoon and just start writing it. Next thing I know, 10 months later, it'll be done.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I think if I was to do it, I would combine Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith into one bigger story.
Okay, that I could see that. That makes sense to me, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to that, so I'm going to hold you to it.
I'll get right to work on it.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. One thing I like to do on this show is, I don't know if you've ever seen Inside the Actor Studio with James Lipton. I've actually never done this, but he asks 10 questions. Now, you do this too on yours over there on the other side of the galaxy. I'll say that. Across
Right.
the galaxy.
Right.
Around the galaxy.
Yeah.
All the way over there on that side
Over
of the galaxy.
in the U.S. versus
The
the
U.S.
Canadian.
side of the galaxy. So I'm going to ask you just a couple of what you ask. And
Okay,
we talked
cool.
about this a little bit. If you had to choose one, would you choose an Ewok, a Porg, or Jar Jar Binks?
I think I'm going to have to go Ewok, just because it's classic trilogy, and I didn't have a problem with them like everybody else did. So I'll go with Ewok.
All right, sounds good to me. I was going to ask you your favorite sound effect, but you gave that one away
Yeah.
earlier. What's your favorite Star Wars quote?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. No, I don't know which one to go with. I think I might have to go with. Let me take a second on this one. I don't want to say anything cheesy like "do or do not" because everybody does that one. I think I'm going to go with boring conversation anyway. 'Cause
Nice.
I just,
Yes.
because that's one I feel like I could use just about every single day. But I love. I just that was pure Han
Yeah.
Solo.
That's perfect. And it's one of the best moments in Star Wars. I don't care what anyone says.
I
It's-
agree.
Yeah,
Totally.
right off the bat. What's another good one that we haven't talked about yet? If let's say your favorite movie, TV show, or book.
I'm gonna have to go with Empire Strikes Back, just because, not just because I think it's the best written movie, but I think it's the one that solidified to me that Star Wars is more than just a great movie. I think I've said before that Star Wars is a great movie, but Empire is a great. I'm sorry, Empire is a great movie, but Star Wars is a great experience.
Yeah.
So, as the writer side of me likes Empire the best.
My favorite is Return of the Jedi, but Empire is definitely the best, the most well written of them all for sure. It
Yeah.
might even be the best made of them all.
Well, I mean, the whole Cloud City scene,
Yeah.
everything about it is just amazing. Yeah.
But it doesn't have Ewoks.
This is true. This is true.
It has Ugnaughts. So
Ugnaught-
maybe you
Close.
have to add that to your. All right. Finally, if you could be any character of the Star Wars universe, who would you be?
That is a good one. I think I would probably be. Damn, that's a good question. Somebody should use that on their podcast.
I know.
Um, I don't want to say Luke or Han because everybody says that.
Everybody says Han. I've noticed.
Everybody says Han, and
Yeah.
everybody says the Millennium Falcon for the
Yeah.
ship. I think I'm going to have to cancel that, change that question. I'm going to say Qui-Gon Jinn. 'Cause
Nice.
I think Qui-Gon is he's sort of the ultimate Jedi, or what I always thought a Jedi would be like. And he follows the rules enough to not get in trouble, but he goes off the reservation just enough to never get the really good job. So I like Qui-Gon a lot. I just love everything about the way his sort of ways of throwing in philosophy at the right time, and yeah, I like him a lot.
He is probably my favorite character of the prequels, if I had to actually admit it, but I would never. I'm going to go with Watto or Ben Quaternaros every day of the week.
Ben Quaternaros
Yeah.
is the unsung hero of the Phantom Menace.
I've always said if his pod race worked, he would have won the race and there would be no
Right.
more sequels. So
He had 4 engines, for goodness sake. He could have just done it.
could have, but he didn't for the sake of the galaxy. That's what he did. Speaking of the galaxy, do you want to plug where everybody can find you at?
Sure, yeah. So you can find me at my podcast is Around the Galaxy, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at ATGcast, or you go to my website, which is petefletzer.com. You can get my crazy 123,000 word book there, and also all my podcasts and some blog entries and stuff like that. It's all there. But yeah, I do a lot of I spend much more time on Twitter than I probably should. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, that's the best way to go.
If you want to catch that entire interview, it is on the Outlander Club playlist down below. Outlander Club was a lot of fun. We're going to be doing more. You'll get a new one on Friday. A new Outlander Club will drop Friday evening. Looking forward to that. So once again, I want to thank you all for joining me this morning, live chatting away. If you're listening, watching later on, that's also fine. That's great. It just means a lot to me that you are here. Like I said, we're all in this together. We're all going to get through this together. We love Star Wars. We're going to just embrace Star Wars, talk about Star Wars in a positive manner. There's no need to go negative. The world is negative enough that we don't need to bring that into the Star Wars talk that we do here at Rebel Scum Podcast. So we're just going to hopefully have a good time, have some laughs, share some memories, some passions, and that's going to be that. We'll be back at 12 p.m. Eastern with our daily live stream, and 7 o'clock tonight will be the newest episode of the Rebel Scum Podcast. And until then, may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.